Hi guys, in this video it's going to be down to you to decide which is the better album, Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell or Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden. So as the 70s rode by, the grandeur of classic progressive rock started to fade, while heavy metal music continued its unstoppable nitroglycerin fueled ascent. Judas Priest was on the rise since '76, the undisputed rulers of heavy metal, but they will soon be challenged by a young London quintet named after a medieval artifact of torture and capital punishment. Meanwhile, the progenitors of it all saw their powers diminished by the ever-worsening behaviour and addictions of their iconic frontman Ozzy Osbourne, and their own creative implosion. Something had to be done. The band had made a risky choice in parting ways with the Prince of Darkness himself, but the choice paid dividends. A lot of them. See, in order to replace a deity and maintain a balance and purpose in life, one must replace it with another deity. The briefly turned three-piece band found their saviour in the small statured but gigantic persona of the holy Ronnie James Dio. Ready to pick up where he had left at the helm of Richard Blackmore's enormously influential Rainbow. The chemistry was immediate, a fiercely strong alloy of metal the result. Tough enough to compete with the nascent new wave of British heavy metal bands that had mixed the aggression and speed of punk music with Sabbath's own heritage. This indeed comprises a grand rebirth for Black Sabbath, and for a brief moment, a dawn of the 80s. They managed to reclaim the heavy metal throne from the suddenly toned down Priest and the recently debutant Maiden. Heaven and Hell features virtually no filler, it's all thriller. With Dio at his prime and inspired again Tommy Iommi, the heavens were the limit, and they were reached. Iommi's decision to turn his back on commercial hard rock for good was one of the best things that ever happened to metal. Had we been left with only his incredible The Heavy Doom legacy from the first half of the '70s, we would have been extremely blessed anyway, but thankfully the gods have been good for all us believers. Neon Night starts with propulsive Iommi riffs, some of his best ones since half a decade back, and recognizable vocals of our beloved Dio, which immediately tells us this was going to be a very different version of Sabbath, one brighter but more energetic as well. The doom and gloom mostly gone, Dio's lyrics usually end up more introspective and thought-provoking than '70s Sabbath. Instead of contemplating the strife of life by tales of war, drugs, destruction, insanity and decay, Dio addresses the listener to look inwards. Of course, social conflicts are still addressed, as in the opener. The line, "Save us from the jackals of the streets," has always brought images of urban gang fight movies and post-apocalyptic barbaric tribes like the ones from the Mad Max series. But it is mostly a journey to one's mind, heart and consciousness. Lines about reaching our feelings and two-faced morality plays. Dio's love for sword, sorcery and fantasy also replaces most of the dark sci-fi the guys explored in their Aussie years. Another fact that also ensures we'll both enjoy both eras with their distinct characteristics. All circles of Heaven and Hell are virtually perfect as on any metal masterpiece you could think of, although some are more perfect than others. I would say Side A kicks the hell out of Side B, despite the fact that all these tunes are tip-top Sabbath quality, but Children of the Sea, with its melodic acoustic lines and the monumental Heaven and Hell itself are A+ all-time classics of heavy metal music. Lady Evil, despite its dark subject matter, is probably the most amusing track on the record, in great part because of Geezer Butler's sexy bass lines here and the simple lyrics amazingly sung about the titular magical femme fatale. On Side B, Wishing Well also carries this festival style. Lonely is the Word is a tremendous finish to this masterpiece with an almost bluesy cadence and feel, as well as Iommi's most colossal solo on the album. Geezer remains more adventurous and his bass tone is just gorgeous. That's something that hasn't really changed in all of Sabbath's eras. Probably the finest Maiden album ever crafted, the album that would inspire 1,000 bands in almost as many genres, maybe even prove for an infinity-loving deity. I refuse to believe mere chance made this album happen. But let's get straight to why this album is so great. Start with the guitar synths. They're different, but add to the atmosphere in a way that I never thought possible. If there was ever the retro future that this album cover predicted, the synths would feel right at home. The bizarre way they simultaneously sound natural and artificial from the distortion and the instrument that they come from have a unique feeling to them that no keyboard could ever reproduce, and really do give this album an otherworldly aura that in my mind has never been done before or since. Even the mini epic Alexander the Great is straight to the point for a Maiden epic song. On that note, the songwriting is the most solid Maiden's career would ever be, with some of the best performances the band would ever put out for each member, from Bruce Evil Loss all the way to Nickers running like drumming on the Loneliness to the Long Distance Runner, a heavily underappreciated classic I might add. Go listen to the Disharmonia and Mundi's cover. Good stuff. The solos, the production, the cover art, the lyrics, in all the 80s cheese, everything, all incredible. Now, regarding the atmosphere of the album, I feel the need to expand upon it more. The retro future mood gives this album an unshakable feel no other Maiden or anyone else really would ever quite replicate. Putting this album in a way by excellent category all to its own. More refined than Power Slave, more surreal than Seventh Son. For example, Heaven Can Wait has both the prog elements of Seventh Son while still keeping the adventurous feel of Power Slave. It's this all of Maiden's best aspects at once, a tribute that makes, to me at least, the best damn metal album to ever be released. The thing that saddens me about this album is how ironically been most lost to time. Yes, the influence can be heard from Europe to Meredith to everything in between, but as an album, Somewhere in Time is mostly relegated to that album Cyborg Eddie comes from. Outside of the radio-friendly Wasted Years, Maiden itself rarely plays any songs here. In an odd way, though, it adds to the mystic aura of this album in a too good to be touched kind of way. But nevertheless, I'm just happy that I existed in the time where Somewhere in Time exists. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.